This episode is brought to you by Battlefield 6. Battlefield 6 is the ultimate all-out warfare experience. Rip through the skies in aerial dogfights. Demolish your surroundings for a strategic advantage. Harness complete control over every action and movement using the kinesthetic combat system. Drop into multiplayer with your squad, or fight furiously as a member of the Dagger 1-3 squad in a gritty, adrenaline-fueled single-player campaign where you'll defend a world on the edge of collapse.
Welcome to our podcast, It's About Payroll. We're your hosts, Brian Escobar and Walter William Duncan III. Whether you're new to the payroll game or a seasoned veteran, we have something for you. All right, welcome back, folks, for another episode. We are in for Deductions, part 2 of a 4-part series, right, Walt?
Yeah, a 4-part series on deductions. It's like a mini series on deductions.
In a mini series, yeah. a season within a season.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to break deduction down for you guys because, again, we're doing this part from the point of view, the consumer being everybody that gets a paycheck. And we really want to break it down into digestible pieces, digestible parts, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. Before we roll in, how you doing, Walt? What's going on?
Man, I'm grateful. I'm blessed. I'm excited to be here, man. It's another day, another opportunity to grow and to pass along knowledge, man. I'm just grateful to be here right now.
We're talking about pre-tax deductions today. And again, Walt, this is part 2 of a 4-part series. Which are we covering today?
Today, we're going to be covering the pre-tax deductions. We covered involuntary deductions first in part 1. And so this one is going to be pre-tax deductions.
Got it.
Remember, we tried to structure it as it would hit on an employee's or consumer's pay check. That's why we structured
kind of how they would see.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. All right. And what's pre-tax deductions for our consumers?
Okay, so I looked up the definition of a pre-tax deduction. So a pre-tax deduction is a deduction that is taken away from an employee's gross pay prior to taxes being withheld.
Right.
These deductions reduce the employee's taxable income, meaning they will owe less income tax. They may also owe less on other taxes like FICA, which is Social Security and Medicare. And the pre-tax deductions may also lower employer-paid taxes like federal unemployment tax, FUTA, SUI, to get into those terms and stuff like that. So that's basically what the pre-tax deductions are. Those deductions that are eligible to be deducted prior to taxes being taken.
Okay, so that was, thank you for that. That was a technical definition for it. And example, and this is what I always tell folks, because even when I'm telling friends and family, they don't realize pre-tax and the impact and the benefit it has on your paycheck. And the real easy way to explain it is if you made $1,000 on your paycheck, again, just for ease, I'm not saying anything, which is easy math. You got $1,000 check and you contribute, I don't know, $200 to medical every time you get that check, right? You're going to get taxed you're going to pay taxes on that calculation for the percentage of taxes to be held is going to be on $800, not the $1,000 that you gross. So that is the pre-tax benefit. It reduces your wages.
Your taxable income.
Yes. So for us that get a check, again, have medical and these pre-tax benefits come out of your check is a benefit to you, right? The IRS allows for it to reduce your wages, your earnings. And a really big call out, what we deal with in payroll sometimes come year end when folks get their W-2s, they'll say, I make $70,000 a year and my W is.
Leading a growing business, it's like building a plane while flying it. Team building, decision-making, and scaling all at once. At CPO Playbook, we get it. That's why our podcast, ranked in the top 10% worldwide, tackles the toughest leadership challenges with insights to help you lead smarter and grow faster. Tune into the CPO Playbook podcast because leadership doesn't come with a manual, but we're pretty close.
65.
Yeah.
That's because you have some pre-tax deductions, and your box one on your W-2 is your taxable wages. Okay, and that tells the government what you should be taxed on, and that is the benefit of having these pre-tax deductions. It reduces your taxable wages, and that's the easiest way to call it out. Some of you may get in your W-2 and you're like, oh, I make more than that, and that happens to us every year. We send out W-2s, and a bunch of help desk tickets come in talking about my wages are wrong. And the first thing I do is just go look at their benefits, and I see, oh, yep, they pre-tax, they have benefits, so they're not realizing that their benefits is reducing that wages. And mind you, some of these W-2s have the gross amount there. So it's like box one versus your gross amount are two different things. I even have to, there's some professionals that don't realize that, I've had auditors in the past to say, oh, box one is not tying out to your payroll history. And I'm like, no, it's never going to tie out, because most people have, especially the whole, it's definitely not going to tie out as a group, because somebody's got pre-tax benefits. So I know I go off like we always do. We go off into the payroll side of it, but this is about your paycheck and understanding that these pre-tax deductions lower your taxable wages. So what else should we know about pre-tax deductions?
So I guess we can get into the different types of pre-tax deductions there could be.
Without going in too deep, I'm
not saying we're going to take a deep dive into each one, but I'm just going to name a few, right? So you have retirement funds, which is your 401k, your 403b stuff, right? And you have there's some states that have parking permits that you can have as a pre-tax deduction.
Oh, parking, transit. New York has parking, and has transit. Yep. Commuter expense. That's what it is. It's a commuter benefit.
Pretty much a lot of your medical benefits, like long-term, short-term disability, dental, are pre-tax. There are some that could be post-tax.
Absolutely.
So go ahead.
No, and even when you do insurance, there's a pre-tax max, I think, for the benefit, and then there's a post-tax version you can take out. Same thing with the 401k products. You have Roth pre-tax and a Roth after-tax. I'm sorry, Roth is the 401k. But these things, all to sum it up, and that's why I didn't want to go too deep. We covered the buckets, but to get a comprehensive list, you can go to IRS website, and they're called Cafeteria 125 plan is what is listed on as the IRS. But this is stuff that we need to know as consumers, educate ourselves and understand what those benefits are, because think about it, some companies, it's really expensive to pay for benefits. I've seen deductions, and I'm sure you have also, $700 out of your check for healthcare. And some people, it's like half their check, and they have to do it because they need help. They have kids, and that's usually like a family plan, and that's more on the higher end, expensive. There are some companies where it's only $100 out of your check. There's still some companies that cover it 100%. And those are rare. Those are like unicorns nowadays, where you get for real, right? Because it's so expensive, man. And so it's great to have some type of offset and it be affordable. But think about it: if it's $700 coming out of your check on the high end, and that's every paycheck, and you get paid at least twice a month, you're talking upwards of $12,000. Medical expenses and pre-tax expenses and pre-tax. I'm saying expenses because that's what you're going to spend. It is an expense to us, right? So that's a hefty savings, and I guess that's why IRS did it. Is like, all right, if companies are going to charge you so much, we at least going to give you this break, and we'll take that off the top. Well, if you and you paid $15,000 in medical for that year, you're only going to get taxed on $85,000. So that is it could mean a tier of a bracket for your tax brackets.
Absolutely. That's
a lot of people do that, right? Yeah, a lot of people do that when they're paying attention to it. Some of us don't make enough to pay attention to it, but when you're paying attention to those different tax brackets, keep those things in mind. These pre-tax benefits can help you stay out of a certain tax bracket. There was a call out for 401k. Something I learned in my payroll when I was doing in-house payroll. And in-house payroll, not to get too much on the payroll side of it, but in-house payroll means that you really do a lot of it yourself and you don't depend on a vendor. So when I was doing that, we had to check calculations for taxes, and I learned that 401k is pre-tax only for federal. It's not pre-tax. It does not lower your Social Security and Medicare wages.
Yeah.
Because it's like a double dip. It's Social Security and Medicare is for your retirement, and 401k is for your retirement. So like the IRS is saying you're gonna do yourself a disservice by lowering the amount of money you put into Medicare and Social Security for your 401k. So that's the logic, and I think that's what I'm assuming. I don't know if I've ever read that, but I think that's what it is. Like you can't double dip. They don't let you double dip on it. So keep that in mind when if you're checking your paycheck and you're doing a calculation. Like Brian and Walter said that it lowers my taxes, Social Security.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
Except for 401k, right? 401k is it only lowers the federal liability, not Social Security and not the Medicare, unfortunately. But the other ones do.
But
so
like you said, the IRS will speak to that.
Oh, yes.
Well, a lot of the resources that are out there will tell you that information as well. But good. Thank you for calling that out.
Yeah. I mean, that was late in my career. I didn't realize that. I was already doing payroll a long time before. Because, and again, like I say, for the payroll professionals listening, you don't know payroll until you do in-house payroll. So if you really want to challenge yourself, try to do some case studies in that. I don't know. Try to expose yourself to an in-house payroll situation and get some understanding of that, because it's really where you learn how all these calculations work. And again, so in the last episode, there's even an order. It's a hierarchy of deductions in the order of how they come out of your check and how it's applied. Your federal and your FICA come out first before your medical, vision, dental. So if you don't make enough one check and you got $100 medical bills, but you only made $500 that week or whatever, that's not coming out of your check. It's going to be federal first, and then whatever they can get left over.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then there's other rules there as well. In most states, deductions can't bring you past minimum wage.
Yeah.
So it's another thing to factor in, and most systems kind of won't let that happen either, really good ones. And then payroll folks are supposed to be conscious of that as well. And that's a big thing that I think consumers don't know, because when people say in front of me, oh, they took so much out of my check, I got zero. And I'm like, no, that's not legal.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or I got $15. That's not legal. You're supposed to get minimum wage. And that goes for garnishments, child support, stuff like that. I don't know. I'll take it back on the child support piece, because sometimes they're aggressive and sometimes it may not. There may be a situation there. For garnishments and things like that, all that other stuff, they can't pay you less than minimum wage.
Absolutely. Yep.
So just keep that in mind. As a consumer, you have rights. We talk to our friends and family all the time about different pay issues, and I'm always like, hey, that's not legal. So if you're exaggerating, I get it. If you're exaggerating, I get it. But if you're not exaggerating, you got to speak up for yourself and talk to your payroll people, talk to your bosses. There are plenty of rights for us, even in states where we don't have those governing bodies, particularly Florida, right? There's no governing body that kind of sticks up for us the way that California and New York does, very employee centric. But there's still laws. It's governed at the federal level, and those are still good protections. So even in Florida, you have rights, right? Even in those states where you're not collecting income tax and not paying for this governing body, there's still rights out there. So as consumers, let's keep in mind your paycheck, right? You're a W-2 employee, you have a lot of power. If you are a W-2 employee, you have a lot of rights, especially in this climate, in this day and age where it's like retention is super important. Labor is tough in every industry. We're struggling to keep labor. Not to go too far off on a tangent, but just it all loops back into we need to know what's happening on our check.
Yeah.
We need to be have that information about how these calculations are going down and be mindful of it, because overtime is enough. If you're an hourly employee, you're due overtime. That's a very sticky point.
Yeah.
And that's something you want to see on your check, and you want to see it calculated properly.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
What else? Any call outs?
No, I like the flow that you're in. And absolutely, that goes back to why we did this in the first place, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we got a lot of inspiration from Gerard M. Hall, payroll guy, CPP.
Check him out.
Shout out to him. And also, we got some inspiration from our team over at Valor Payroll Solutions. They got some stuff going where they're sending stuff out about paycheck and payroll.
Yeah.
So they give us some inspiration as well. I definitely want to shout them out. But that's the reason why we did this, right? It's to empower people.
Yep.
I know it's cliche and corny, but knowledge is power. And so that's what this is about. It's about giving the consumer, everyone who gets a paycheck, that knowledge and information for them to be able to have more awareness about how their pay works.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I get paid.
Yep.
I don't know how I get paid.
How do
the inner workings.
How do you go from gross to net?
Yep.
How did they get to that net amount number? How did they know how much taxes to take out, right? And the federal and state is where there's a lot of room for play. Social Security, not so much. We're going to talk about taxes in another one.
Oh, yeah. So, you're jumping ahead.
I'm jumping ahead. Sorry. So
yeah.
Yes. So, again, yes, be empowered. Know what's going on in your check. And these pre-tax, and this is what pre-tax deductions are for. And a lot of folks don't take advantage of them at their job. You really want them. If you can afford it, sometimes you can't not afford it. But because I get it too. I've been there where it's like, I can't do this. You can't afford not to. Yeah, but I really can't do this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I get it. But if you can, take advantage of those pre-tax deductions. They're very helpful in managing your tax liability at the end of the year. And again, if you're crossing brackets and growing into different income brackets, you definitely want to pay attention to pre-tax deductions and see how they can help you and how you can leverage that.
Hey, this is William Tincup. Listen, we did a series for iSolved called Heroes of HR, where we talk to HR practitioners. And these are just your run-of-the-mill, everyday, slogging it out, 300 employees in Cedar Rapids, HR pros. Mostly it's centered around iSolved and what they do with iSolved, but also they talk a lot about kind of the day-to-day rigor of HR. If you're curious about that, search for Heroes of HR wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great points. Great call outs on that.
Yep.
Just a couple of more points. And maybe I have a couple of questions, right? So if my pre-tax deductions are jacked up, I'm a consumer, an employee, who do I contact? Who do I go to? Who do I reach out to?
As a savvy consumer, I would tell you, go be a savvy consumer. As a payroll professional, it would help us if you go first and just go look it up on the IRS. What's pre-tax, what's not. Try to ask good questions, right? One of our biggest kind of pet peeves as a payroll person was like, they just call you guys we call and we just say, hey, it is a pay problem. All right, but what do you mean? What's the pay problem? So just be armed. If you have a pre-tax deduction question, go ahead and look it up first on the IRS, read up, and then reach out to us and ask, and hey, what's going on? It would be your payroll people to start the conversation, because it could be benefits.
Which could be under payroll or it could be under HR.
Exactly.
Could be however it's structured. You never know.
Yep. I always say start with payroll, because that's what everybody does anyway. And that's why payroll is so important, because it all ends with us, and then it starts back with us when you have questions and issues. When your pay is good, you're not even thinking about your payroll.
That's why it's called the pay stub. It's not called the pay and benefit stub.
Exactly.
The pay and benefits and employee demographic stub.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it should be. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. But yeah, when your pay is straight, you don't even care. You don't even know if you ever always get paid. You don't even know who your payroll person is. You know what I mean? But when your paycheck is wrong, please believe you're gonna know who that payroll person is really quick.
Indeed.
You're gonna learn real quick. So yeah, just
Okay, great.
Start with payroll is the answer.
Start with payroll.
Yeah.
All right. And the last question, because it ties it into our first episode on deductions, pre-tax deductions, they considered voluntary or involuntary deductions?
It depends.
Okay.
For the most part, it's voluntary, but if you consider garnishment, then there are some involuntary ones there.
Okay. It could be pre-tax.
Oh, that's
that
a good one.
That key, yeah.
That was a key. Okay. What was I going to say? Oh, yes, because of the benefit piece. That's what I meant to. That's what I was going to. So there are some child support cases, garnishment orders require the parents to provide medical benefits. So in that case, the person who has to carry the medical benefits is getting like that byproduct of a benefit to themselves. And they're getting a pre-tax deduction there for whatever that's worth. It's never nice to get these garnishment orders and to be forced to do things. But yeah, it depends. So those forced medical benefits are, even though that it's involuntary, they're pre-tax deductions because it's the medical benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only one that I could think of that can be involuntary.
Okay. That's a good call out though.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people would realize that either, even consumers, let alone payroll professionals. Those are great points, man. Do you have any more last comments? Do you have any more thoughts on this subject before we close this out?
No, I think that's it. Again, I'm loving how these are like little digestible pieces, little nuggets. It's pre-tax deductions. We're able to kind of really exhaust this small subject and this paycheck down into pieces for you guys, and I'm loving it, man. No, I think that's it.
Yeah, me too. I think we're in a good spot. And next week we're gonna move on to episode 5, which is gonna talk about taxes,
which is part 3 in the deduction piece.
Yes.
Yeah, got it. And what was the last one? Part
Number 4 is going to be the deductions. I gotta look and see, man. It was pre-tax, post-tax deductions.
Post-tax deductions.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
A little brain fart for a little bit.
Oh, yeah. No, I know it. I just wanted, good to recap. All right, folks, man. Thank you for joining us again. We hope you enjoyed the show as always, and we'll catch you next week.
See you next week, guys and gals. Thank you for listening to today's episode of our podcast. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. And we hope that the information that we'll share with you will impact you as a payroll professional. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep going.